Next up is a federal organization that helps diversify the economy across the prairies, hence the name Prairies Economic Development Canada, or Prairies Can. At ERA, we like to think their greatest exports include our CEO, Justin Reimer, and new Executive Director of Policy and Engagement, Tom McCaffrey, who both came to ERA by way of Prairies Can. But of course, there's far more to them than that, from scaling up small businesses to providing COVID relief and recovery funding. I'd like to welcome Derek Armstrong from Prairies Can to tell you all about their programming.
I'm not really happy that my two favorite people at ERA are now, at Prairies Can are now at ERA, so I'm not on my way there myself yet, Justin. Holy cow, it's cold out there and cold inside here. As anyone who follows me on LinkedIn know that I have 3 boys who need to get out of the house and onto the slope. So less cold, more snow, please. Oh my gosh, we need snow and I need to get them out of the house. So thank you to ERA for organizing this event. My name is Derek Armstrong. I'm the manager of Innovation Ecosystems, and I'm based out of Calgary. I've been with Prairies Can for about 3 years, and prior to that, I was in Ottawa for about 15 years. So I was working in Ottawa on strategic climate change policy and infrastructure policy, and been out here for a few years, and I absolutely love it. So out of Ottawa, out here, and I don't ever want to leave. So, I think we're going to hear a lot of the same themes in this presentation, and we do collaborate constantly with the innovation ecosystem as well. But Prairies Can, as I'm sure you're all aware, we used to be called Western Economic Diversification, and we're an economic development agency that supports Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, and now British Columbia has its own RDA called Pacifican. So in simple terms, our mandate is to essentially grow and diversify the economy of the prairies. And there are 7 federal economic development agencies across Canada. But like I said, we're really focused on the 3 prairie provinces. I'm part of Prairies Can Alberta, and as mentioned, based in Calgary. We're headquartered in Edmonton, and we have offices in Calgary, in Edmonton, and we also just recently opened offices in Lethbridge, Grand Prairie, and Fort Mac. So we have a lot more boots on the ground throughout the province, which I think is really great. So how do we fulfill our mandate of growing and diversifying the economy? We do so through 4 key roles, which recently strengthened with the formation of Prairies Can. We're most well known for our investor role, which I'll talk about mostly in this slide, but we also convene tables of stakeholders to discuss important economic issues. We advise stakeholders on a lot of different issues, and we also help organizations pathfind. I think this is really in high demand given all the different federal and provincial and municipal programs out there. We do a lot of pathfinding out there. We also play a key role into bringing Ottawa's supports to Alberta, and we advocate for Alberta to ensure that there's a full participation in the incredible economic opportunities out here. And I wanted to quickly mention that continuing to build our partnerships is critical if we're going to effectively champion Alberta's strengths. We collaborate with many partners and stakeholders in the delivery of all 4 of those roles. We work really closely with the Alberta government, especially Alberta Innovates. I meet with Alberta Innovates pretty much on a weekly basis to share intel, to talk about projects, and at the end of the day, we actually end up co-funding a lot of projects together. It de-risks it for funders, and it actually maximizes the impact of projects, and is a really, really good thing to be working really closely. We work closely with Calgary Economic Development, Edmonton Global, of course we work with BDC, EDC, and of course all the other federal government departments out there. So our key stakeholders are SMEs mostly, and non-for-profit organizations like PSIs, accelerators, incubators, industry associations, social enterprise, just to name a few. So SMEs, and then all those not-for-profits, but those not-for-profits, what we want them to do is to support SMEs. So at the end of the day, our key stakeholder are Alberta SMEs. So the two funding opportunities that I'll talk about today are the Business Scale-Up and Productivity Program for businesses and the Regional Innovation Ecosystems Program for nonprofit or applicants. I'm going to really focus today on the Business Scale-Up and Productivity and talk a little bit about the Regional Innovation Ecosystems and how SMEs can use some of those supports as well. So for both of our funding programs, we essentially have two buckets of priorities. We have sector priorities, including clean technologies and clean resources, and then inclusiveness. So inclusiveness, we talk about Indigenous peoples, women, youth, and even other underrepresented individuals. But when it comes to the sectors, we define clean resources and clean technologies really broadly. It's like a very simple definition, but it's essentially innovation that drives growth, that drives economic growth and any environmental benefit. And it's really important to note that at PrairiesCan, we don't measure those environmental benefits. We don't measure GHG reductions. Our KPIs are economic, and the key ones there are being jobs and revenues. So if there's an environmental benefit, be it GHG reductions, water reduction, or whatnot, you fit into that bucket area and you're eligible for funding. But for us, the benefits, like I said, are economic outcomes. So this is the BSP program for companies, and I'll present some of the highlights of this program. So in one sentence, this program provides successful applicants with repayable, interest-free, non-dilutive funding. The maximum amount of funding we can provide for any project is $5 million in PrairiesCan funding. But it's important to note that while $5 million for the project is the max, and we have funded projects at that level, like a Neo Financial or an Autobotics, really large companies like that will get the $5 million. Our typical project is in the $1 to $2 million range, I would say. It could be as low as $200,000, as high as $5 million, but I would say the most that we see are $1 to $2 million projects that we fund. Really important to note that we'll support projects at 50% only. So if your request to PrairiesCan is for $1 million in funding, you do require $1 million in funding from yourself or from another non-government source. And we can fund it at less than 50%, and that just strengthens the proposal, but in the vast majority of applications, we're in at 50%. This program targets high growth, later stage companies that are seeing a growth in revenues year over year. So we define this growth year over year as a company that's seeing 20% growth, although there is a little bit of flexibility on this. If the application is really strong and a company is seeing 15% growth year over year, then you should still apply and you could still be successful. As the name of the program does suggest, though, we are targeting those companies that are scaling. So unfortunately, pre-revenue companies are not eligible, and we see a lot of requests from pre-revenue companies, and it's unfortunate that, well, not unfortunate, but the space that we play are for late-stage scaling companies. So there's a lot of other eligibility requirements laid out on our website. Some key mandatory criteria, like you have to have been in business for 2 years, you have to have staffed facilities in the prairies, and you do need that confirmed match funding at the time of application. Eligible expenses would include things like capital costs and salaries, but not things like basic R&D or property or land, and those are all defined on our website as well. The types of projects we'll fund include those around adopting new technologies, adopting new management practices, expanding your markets, conducting late-stage product development, and technology showcasing and demonstration. And like I said, typically at that TRL level 7 to 9. I'll provide some examples of some of the companies and projects we funded in a couple of slides. So if you're successful for funding, you'll undertake a 2 to 3 year project with us, where during those 2 to 3 years, we will disperse funding based on claims. So we operate on a claims basis. You'll submit receipts and eligible costs. We'll reimburse you over the 2 or 3 years, and then the project ends. Then once the project is completed, there's a full 1-year grace period where you might have a few reporting requirements, but nothing really happens financially in that 1 year. And then after that 1-year grace period, there's a 5-year repayment period, fully interest-free, 5 full years. So 60 monthly repayment. So pretty good repayment deal there. So the application process, like a lot of the other programs, we do run on a continuous intake basis. We used to have periodic calls for proposal, but now you can submit an EOI anytime directly from our website. You don't even need to talk to someone, and you can go straight on our website and submit an EOI. So we're getting EOIs all the time. But I do want to emphasize that even though it is a continuous intake process, it's still competitive. You are being assessed against the strength of other applications at all times. So we're getting a lot of EOIs at any time, and you're being assessed not only against our metrics, but also the strength of other applications, because there's only so much funding that we do have. Like you've seen this morning, it's a 2-stage process with us as well. So first the EOI, which doesn't ask for a very extensive amount of information, and if you're successful with the EOI, we invite you to full application. The information from your EOI will transfer to that full application, and then of course we ask for a little bit more additional information. One little piece of inside info is that if you do go to full application, your chances of success increase exponentially. So if we're going to invite you to full application, we fully intend on funding you, and we have the budget to fund you. And so it's really important to get that EOI right and put the work into the EOI. And of course, the full application, it's not a done deal once you go to full application, but and we're going to work with you to really make that application really strong. And we want certain things, but we want to fund you when it goes to full application. And it's because we know SMEs are really busy, and we don't want to waste anyone's time too much. So the assessment process. How are you assessed, both for the EOI and the full application? So we have all of this actually on our website. We're pretty transparent, and it's not a secret that these are the types of things that you should be assessed on. So number one, what's your market? What's the size of the market you're selling your product into, and where is that market geographically? How well do you know your market, and how precisely can you define it? Are you just gonna, you can say this is a $2 billion market, or you can kind of get a little bit more precise and talk about the market in Alberta, and this is where you're selling that product and so forth. So the more precise, the better. Number two, what's the experience and expertise of your management team? This is the people side of things, which actually is really important to me. So who's on your team? What's their experience? What have they done in the past? What has been their successes? And also, what does the governance of your company look like in terms of a board and other mechanism? And who's on your board? Thirdly, what is the financial capacity of your company? How strong are your financials? And what kind of shape are those financials in? And fourth, what are the economic benefits as a result of our funding? That is, with our funding, how many jobs are you going to create, and what will the growth in your revenues be? This is our return on investment with taxpayers' dollars, so it's really important. And lastly, as already mentioned, how closely aligned is your project with our priorities? How clear of a clean tech project is this, and is that a priority for us? So this just summarizes some of the elements of a strong application, and these are actually published transparently on our website as well. So this is, you should go through each of these one by one, because that's what we are assessing you on. I've already mentioned some of these on here, but I would say some of the others that we look for, and this is what we see all the time, like we really want a clear description of the quote-unquote project you want to undertake with us. We get a lot of companies who, you know, apply for funding and they say we would like $2 million to operate, to do what we do. And for us, we are incremental project-based funders, so we really want you to tell us a story. Because we have to then take that story and we have to pitch it internally to senior management. So it's really important just to kind of tell us in layman's terms, what exactly will you do with our funding, and how will that funding translate to the growth in your company and create jobs and generate revenues for your company. Really can't emphasize that enough. It's super, super important, and it's that pitch. It's that pitch that what you want to do with $2 million. We also want to see a comprehensive business plan, which lays out, you know, all the various elements in there, including your competitors, and of course your differentiation. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important financials are for PrairiesCan. Some would argue maybe a little too much, and that we maybe should be a little bit more risk tolerant, but financials are very, very important because we want to assess your ability to execute the project at 50% funding, right? So we're providing 50%, so we want to see that you guys can execute the project. We want to see your financial standing, and of course, we want to see your expected ability to repay us. So given it is a repayable program, ability to repay, of course, is a key factor. So we will be looking at your financials and assessing that. So on this slide, I just wanted to quickly run through some of the companies that have received funding specifically focused on clean tech. I mentioned Neo Financial and Adabotics, and those are a couple major successes for us, but these are some clean tech companies. For instance, WestGen, a methane reduction company. They received $1 million from us to expand their market down into the United States. I believe it was Colorado. And they did that through increased marketing, increasing their production capacity. And we're really excited about this company, and they're doing a lot of great things, I think, to reduce emissions in Alberta as well. A company called Exergy received almost $900,000 to scale up its manufacturing capabilities to develop prototypes for clean tech. IWR Technologies received $1.1 million to scale up its livestock water recycling technology. So they have technology that concentrates fertilizer and nutrients and recycles clean water. So as you can see, clean tech is not always about GHG emissions reduction. Sometimes it could be about any environmental benefit, and that fits under our priorities. In this case, it's reducing water. The Sustainable Projects Group received $2 million to commercialize and scale up its energy management software tool. So we dispersed funding for them to develop this new software and staff to staff that software and to implement it. And we also did some earlier projects with Radical when they used to be called Carbon Credit Solutions to commercialize their technology platform to measure, monitor, report, and verify carbon credits, something that's clearly really important for Alberta. So getting close to the end here, this is the program that's near and dear to my heart that I manage directly within PrairiesCan. It's called the Regional Innovation Ecosystems Program. And this program is for not-for-profit applicants, and the funding here is non-repayable. So for companies, it's repayable, nonprofits, non-repayable. It has a similar continuous intake, two-stage process as BSP, and we use most of the same criteria to assess the projects. Given it's a non-repayable program, though, there's less emphasis on the financials of the organization, although we do want to see this not-for-profit in strong financial shape with evidence of financial sustainability moving forward. So here's a few examples of recipients on this slide. We do a lot in this space. As you can see, we work with PSIs like SAIT to deliver applied research projects. with industry. So SMEs and companies will typically go to SAIT with a problem or technology that needs to be tested or validated. And SAIT has a tremendous amount of expertise and capacity and equipment, and they actually work relatively quickly as far as PSIs go. So I highly recommend SAIT for applied research, specifically for clean tech. They have a really great division there. I can make some connections if you guys need to get into SAIT. We funded the Battery Metals Association of Canada to support battery metals companies and to help build out a Canadian supply chain. As you know, battery metals, including lithium, big opportunity for Alberta as well. About 2 years ago, we supported the Transition Accelerator to establish the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub in Edmonton. And so I can't believe this was 2 years ago. It feels like yesterday, but already 2 years ago, we developed that Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub. So as everybody knows, there's a lot of momentum now in the hydrogen space. Really excited. You're going to hear me say really excited because I'm really excited about all these initiatives, about the potential that hydrogen offers to Alberta. We provide Platform Calgary with $2 million to fit out the Platform Innovation Center, and that's not clean tech specific. That's to provide supports to any SME. It's a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs and SMEs. So go into the Platform Innovation Center. They have 100 partners in there now. So I'm in there all the time because it's really exciting, and there's so many great partners in there looking to form a community to help companies and SMEs such as yourself. Another project that we're really excited about is the University of Calgary and Avatar Innovations to establish the Energy Transition Center in downtown Calgary to accelerate clean tech startups. So they have a fantastic space in the Ampersand building, another place I go to all the time for coffee. Such a great place. In this space, there's clean tech companies, there's the Clean Resources Innovation Network, the Energy Futures Lab, Young Women in Energy Association, youth groups, and many others all under one roof. And it's a space where traditional oil and gas companies and all these other groups are colliding and developing and scaling solutions related to the energy transition. We provided $2.1 million for this project, and it actually has a lot of momentum. When we first developed this project, we said an energy transition center in downtown Calgary, right next to oil and gas. We said, okay, this one, might be a little bit higher risk for us, but it is really gaining steam, and yet again, super excited about this one. And I know that they're going to be announcing something pretty big on Wednesday, so stay tuned. I'm plugging that one. So all in all, in the last few years, we've provided about $50 million through this program into the innovation ecosystem right here in Alberta to help SMEs, including clean tech SMEs. And this program is really important to PrairieScan because it's to support those companies. And I highly encourage all companies that I talk to seek out this support provided by the ecosystem, because often it's at a lower cost or even free because it's subsidized by us. So that is it. The last piece of advice before applying to any program within PrairieScan, I would say talk to a real person. I think it's really important to talk to someone. Don't just go on, you can go on our website and submit an EOI, but I think it's really important to talk to a human being. I'm a human being, I'm a real person. This is my personal contact information. Please reach out. I'm happy to talk to you. I talk to so many people all the time. It's what I love to do. I love to hear your stories. I love to hear your pitches. I love to hear all the exciting things that you're doing. And like I said, if it's not a good fit for our funding programs, I'm super happy to make connections and to pathfind and to just kind of get you out there and hopefully provide some really great advice. So that's it. I hope you found this informative, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you all this afternoon.